Have you ever stopped to consider the pain that disrespect inflicts? In its subtle and insidious forms, like a shadow hovering over everyday interactions, it seeps into unspoken words and lingering gazes. You might recognize this in moments when someone who should treat you with dignity instead wounds you with criticism, disdain, or the frustration of not being heard. Often, those who are supposed to be your allies become the harshest critics, not out of malice, but due to a lack of understanding of the intrinsic worth that each person carries. Imagine for a moment, how many times have you found yourself seeking validation in the approval of others? These moments create a cruel paradox. The harder you strive to be heard, the more invisible you feel. The essence of who you are often dissolves amid expectations and devaluation, fueling a cycle of insecurity. But here's a question worth pondering. Have you ever wondered why those who should respect you often undervalue you? This question resonates in the hearts of many weary souls. The pain of disrespect does not solely reside in actions, but in how this toxic energy infiltrates our self-perception. It can be challenging to see just how much this shadow influences our interactions, our self-esteem, and ultimately, our life choices. Take a moment to reflect on this. You are not alone on this journey. It's an invitation to introspection. How do you feel when you encounter these situations? Your experience is not merely an isolated story, it's part of a shared human fabric. By sharing these memories, this silent pain transforms into a step toward healing. In the comments, feel free to share your experiences. Your words may not only illuminate your own path, but also resonate deeply with others seeking to understand and transform their painful experiences into a testament of renewal. The silence of pain can become the strength of transformation. Have you ever taken a moment to consider the pain that disrespect causes? It's an invisible wound, yet it lingers, like an echo that returns, distorted and deafening. This lack of respect seeps into our everyday interactions, touching what lies within us, our essence. The anguish of disdain often arises not just from poorly chosen words, but from the silent expectations unmet by those who should value us. With every unsolicited critique, and in every moment of feeling unheard, a crucial question rings out. Why do those who are supposed to respect us often turn into sources of devaluation? This question calls us to examine our experiences, the struggle for validation, the distress of feeling invisible. The cruel paradox is that the harder we try to seek recognition, the less we feel seen. It's a painful cycle. The toxic energy of disrespect infiltrates our self-perception, overshadowing our self-worth. Do you notice this in your interactions? It's disheartening to realize just how deeply these shadows influence us, our self-esteem, our relationships, our choices. Reflect on how each small act of disrespect builds a wall that separates us from the authenticity we seek. However, we're not alone on this journey. This is an invitation to introspection. How do you cope with this disrespect? Your experiences are part of a collective echo, a testament that we all face distorted notions of worth. As we look back on these memories, that painful silence can be transformed, creating space for healing and renewal. So, I invite you to share your feelings and experiences in the comments. Your words hold the power to connect and heal, not just your own story, but also that of many others seeking to understand and redefine their experiences. Because in truth, the silence of disrespect can become a symbol of strength and transformation, if we choose to give it a voice. Silence speaks in a deep and often uncharted tone. It teaches us about the limits and barriers that should not be crossed. When confronted with disrespect, we typically find ourselves in a realm of words and gestures. But what happens when we step away from that dialogue? Silence, which might be mistaken for loneliness, transforms into a fortress, a space where we find the security of our being. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation that echoed with emptiness, where your words went unheard? What do we say then when that silence fills with disdain, like a shadow that refuses to leave? The wound lies not only in what was said or left unsaid, but in how we feel when our space is invaded and our dignity overlooked. Yet, there is power in absence. A space of silence that can disturb and even feel strange. It's a reminder that dignity is not for sale. It's an inner gift. This is an invitation to explore the natural resistance that arises when, instead of falling into a cycle of justifications, we choose to remain silent. Rather than responding to provocations, we decide simply to not justify ourselves. We reclaim the strength of our presence by just existing. You hold your tongue. They become lost, trying to understand what you did not say. In that space, self-awareness comes closer. You discover that silence morphs into a realm of renewal, where authenticity is refined, free from the emotional pollution that external toxicity brings. This silence weaves a clarity that is seldom found amid loud interactions. It reveals the true essence that hides behind the need for acceptance. So, when disrespect shows up, remember, you don't have to enter the arena. Silence may not merely be a retreat, it can be an active act of defense, a moment when you gather yourself. Because true freedom begins when you choose to silence the need for validation and find strength in your own inner voice. Amid the noise, find your center. Don't let the echo of disregard create turmoil within you. Silence speaks too, and sometimes it heals. Diving into the emotional labyrinths of disrespect means stepping into a realm deeply inhabited by feelings of pain and confusion. When faced with those who should treat us with dignity, we often find ourselves surrounded by turbulent waters. Each disdainful remark, each unsolicited criticism becomes a wave, threatening to drag us down into an abyss of insecurity. Have you ever wondered what really lies at the root of your pain? Disrespect creates a distortion of reality, wrapped in unmet expectations. You struggle to be seen, yet instead, you feel like a ghost in interactions that should be safe. Those unspoken words and avoided gestures accumulate, forming an invisible barrier between who you are and the world around you. When confronted with such situations, the idea of remaining silent may seem misguided, even a sign of weakness. However, what many don't realize is that silence can be a powerful act of self-affirmation. It's a space where you can recalibrate and reevaluate what truly matters. Rather than entering the arena of conflict, choosing to step back and retreat is a recognition of your own dignity. In this temporary isolation, you allow yourself to reconnect with your essence, away from the emotional pollution that others often bring. As we position ourselves amid these internal confusions, we can absorb the lessons that life offers. Each confrontation is not just an opportunity for defense, it's an invitation to a new understanding of ourselves. We are not the storms that surround us, but the silent sky that sees beyond the chaos. True strength does not lie in words, but in the ability to listen. So, when faced with disrespect, remember that you are not alone on this journey. The path may be winding, but every step taken towards self-affirmation is an act of courage. Because sometimes, silence is not a weakness, but an inner scream for dignity and respect. It is in this space that true transformation begins. You are not the storm, but the quiet sky behind it. Take a moment to pause and truly listen to this truth. What does it mean for you? It's easy to get lost in the chaos of interactions, but there is a space within you, a sanctuary waiting to be accessed. When faced with disrespect, the natural response is indignation. But what if you could choose a different path? One that preserves your dignity and internal connection. The pain of disrespect quickly turns into a relentless echo, a reminder that many treat others not based on their essence, but through the distortion of their own insecurities. Have you ever taken time to reflect on this? When someone undervalues your choices, it reflects the emptiness they feel, not your worth. This doesn't mean you should accept such dissonance. The choice is in your hands. Opt for self-affirmation. When you stand tall with your head held high and your heart steady, You are silently proclaiming that your dignity is non-negotiable. The silence you choose instead of inappropriate words can serve as a shield, a barrier that protects your essence. True power comes from knowing you don't have to justify your choices to those who don't understand them. This moment is a choice. How do you decide to position yourself? Being disrespected does not defend against your identity. It invites you to explore yourself. Rather than being swept away in an emotional storm, take a deep breath and step back. Understand that your true strength lies in self-awareness. Each critique and unspoken word does not define who you are. You, who seek respect and dignity, should know that the choice to remain silent or to reaffirm your presence speaks louder than 1,000 words. The truth is that after silence, many things begin to fall into place. Your internal world aligns with your truth, and in the stillness, you can hear the voice of your inner master. You are not alone on this path. Allow yourself to revisit your experiences, share them with others who have faced the same disrespect. What could have been painful can transform into a testament of renewal and strength. Remember, silence speaks too, and sometimes it heals. Exploring various strategies for dealing with disrespect, emphasizing self-affirmation and the creation of healthy boundaries. Use a reflective question. What steps can you take today to reaffirm your space and dignity? Disrespect is like a storm that suddenly brews out of nowhere. You find yourself engulfed in dark clouds, while the safety of your space slips away, leaving you at the mercy of criticism and disdain. What should you do in the face of such turbulence? It is at this moment that we can discover the true depth of self-affirmation. How do you position yourself in the chaos? Imagine that instead of being swept away by the winds of indignation, you choose to be the rock, steadfast and unshakable. This is the strength you can cultivate when you decide to reaffirm your dignity. Changing your relationship with disrespect starts with small steps. What might those steps be? Silence can be a powerful ally, but not in the way you might think. It's not about being silent out of weakness, but rather withdrawing from the battlefield. When you find yourself amid the noise of disdain, choosing to remain quiet can disrupt those who expect a reaction from. Silence becomes a barrier against the toxicity trying to invade your being. Do you utilize this technique? Have you ever tried simply stopping and not justifying yourself in response to criticism? In addition to silence, your posture speaks volumes about your presence. Stand tall with your head held high and shoulders relaxed. Your body language is a silent shout in defense of your position. Every movement, every gesture reaffirms that you are worthy of respect. By taking these steps, you not only protect yourself, but also send a clear message to the world. Your space is non-negotiable. What steps can you take today to reaffirm your space and dignity? Remember, the choice of how to react to disrespect is an act of empowerment. True strength lies in your ability to decide not to surrender to the emotional storms that others create. In doing so, you will find your path to serenity. Amid the turmoil, make your silence a fortress. In the everyday battles, always keep in mind that your essence is not defined by what the world says about you. Have you ever asked yourself how each wound you've accumulated throughout life has the potential to become a firm stepping stone in your journey of self-worth? The disrespect we often encounter, in both subtle and direct forms, casts a shadow that follows us. Yet, it is through the process of healing these wounds that we uncover the essence of who we are and who we can become. Paradoxically, it is in pain that we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. Each criticism and every diminishing word does not define who we truly are. Instead, these experiences offer us an invaluable opportunity to reflect on what really matters, our dignity and self-worth. It's a call for introspection. How have you treated yourself in the face of these challenges? Remember, the way you see yourself can be your greatest defense against the devaluation of others. As we recognize the wounds we carry, we begin to understand that we are not victims of circumstance, but masters of our own narrative. And in this recognition, we awaken our inner strength, the quiet yet powerful force that resides within each of us. The master within you observes, reflects, and often responds in silence, amplifying your true essence. Self-worth is not a destination, it's a journey that requires courage and a willingness to distance yourself from toxic relationships and situations. When we decide to set boundaries, we not only protect ourselves, but also reaffirm our right to exist fully. By holding our heads high and keeping our shoulders relaxed, we embody what dignity can and should be, not merely a reflection of others' approval, but a celebration of who we truly are. In this awakening to your own greatness, what steps can you take today to reaffirm your space and dignity? It's an invitation to reflect and tap into the strength that already exists within you. Remembering your worth is an act of resistance, a silent shout that resonates in your soul. I am enough. In this moment, pain transforms into learning, and each wound becomes a part of the beautiful complexity of being human. And so, as we look within, we find a safe harbor that allows us to navigate the storms of life. Let's transform this pain into wisdom, for you are not the storm, but the serene sky behind it. Exploring various strategies for addressing disrespect, emphasizing self-affirmation, and the establishment of healthy boundaries. Use a reflective question. What steps can you take today to reaffirm your space and dignity? Disrespect resembles a sudden storm. A gentle breeze evolves into a whirlwind that threatens to uproot your very foundations. In moments like this, how do you position yourself? The path of self-affirmation becomes essential. Like an unyielding rock amid the fury, your essence is what remains. But how do you become that rock, steadfast and unshakable in the face of chaos? When disdain manifests, consider silence as your ally. This silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a strategy. Instead of allowing yourself to be shaken, you step back from the battlefield of words. By choosing not to respond, you disarm the provoker. What could have been a confrontation transforms into a demonstration of dignity. Have you ever paused to try this? When you remain silent, they struggle to understand what you didn't say. In that stillness, true strength reveals itself. Being aware of your physical presence underscores your self-worth. Lift your head. Feel your feet firmly planted on the ground. Every stance is a reminder that you deserve respect. And here arises a fundamental question. What steps can you take today to reaffirm your space and dignity? Setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's not just about distancing yourself from toxic influences. It's about being a beacon of light in your own life. In practice, this means choosing not to submit to the emotional storms that others create. Each small declaration of your dignity echoes louder than 1,000 empty words. When disrespect knocks at your door, choose to remain centered. True serenity doesn't come from the absence of conflict, but from how you navigate through it. Find power in this choice. For being authentic means resisting the urge to engage with what doesn't serve you. And if, in that oppressive silence, you discover the clarity that dignity is not a concession. In a life filled with expectations, it is your right to remain true to who you are. Remember, in the face of the noise of disrespect, your silence speaks, and at times, it heals. Look at your journey. Each challenge faced brings with it a new perspective. A new opportunity. The dignity we seek is not something given to us. It's a gift we offer to ourselves. The dance of dignity is, at its core, an act of choice. What do you do with the disrespect you receive? Every unsolicited criticism, every dismissive remark becomes an opportunity to reaffirm who you truly are. The path is not always easy, but it's here that true strength is revealed. In the choice to remain steadfast and authentic, amid chaos. Master Shi Heng reminds us that every challenge is a disguised opportunity. When we view moments of disrespect as tests of our resilience, we begin to see that behind every wound lies an opening for reconnection with ourselves. As we learn to establish our boundaries, we also discover what we truly value. This process is introspective and transformative. It is an act of self-love that resonates in the depths of our existence. Imagine for a moment, by sharing your painful experiences, you not only liberate yourself, but also invite others to join in this dance of dignity. Why not invite someone special to join this conversation? Exchanges become more meaningful when we expand this space, allowing others to see the beauty in cultivating their own dignity. Dignity is a choice, a daily practice that requires courage and patience. Just like on the warrior's path, every affirmative step we take towards self-affirmation echoes through the eternity of our being. In the end, remember that you are not alone. Each of us, in our own dance, seeks to be seen, heard, and respected. So, when faced with disrespect, ask yourself, how can I reaffirm my dignity today? The answer could be the beginning of something truly transformative. You are not merely a spectator in your life, you are the dancer, and the dance of dignity is your most authentic movement, step by step, creating a symphony of respect and self-love in every interaction.